Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Breaker SC2. I guess you could call this my daily cast that I should be getting into more and more often. Before we go any further, I'm going to go ahead and put this back into lazified casting mode, if you will, and that takes care of that. Now let's get into, there we go, get rid of that, and let's go to the observer hotkeys, and then we'll be just dandy for the evening. There we go, sorry about that. So, in the lower left-hand corner, spawning as our red Zerg, this is going to be our barcode. And in the upper right, his name is TemujinGK. And I imagine he would be the uploader of this replay, if not perhaps even the barcode player who uploaded this replay. I did not actually take the time to look and see who actually uploaded this from the subreddit Cast It, but it's very nice to have something like this. The title of this replay was a GM Top 100 ZVZ on EU like you've never seen before, or more or less something to that effect. Now, since this is the early phase of the game and we do have quite a bit of fill-in time, hold your horses, Batman. That is not an extractor trick, is it? There it is. Yeah, okay, he canceled it. So, if this is your first time watching, my name is Breaker SC2. I guess I'll go ahead and start talking about what I do until about 2 minutes and 20 seconds in the game. Right now, I am a content creator that is struggling to fix himself after breaking himself for the past year or so, and that includes his reputation. So, that being said, I'm spending the rest of 2015 trying to repair my reputation, and I'd also like to go ahead and throw out there that I have gotten an invite to the Legacy of the Void closed invite beta, and if you guys have any replays that you would like for me to cast, I would be more than happy to do that. Just message me on Reddit. That's user BreakerSC2, and I'll be more than happy to take a look at it and cast it for you guys. Preferably diamond level and higher replays would be nice to have, but I can cast just about anything that you guys throw at me. So both players going for pool first. It's a little bit interesting to note that our drone here from our barcode player went out to the natural first, and then went back into the main, and then the pool went down. It feels a little bit awkward, but I love how TemujinGK is actually, he's being really annoying here. He's delaying his opponent's natural expo for every second that drone is at this location. The second one's going to come along for the ride just to keep it a little bit more, I'd say just get him out of there a little bit faster is what he's looking for. And a gas follow-up is coming from TemujinGK, while we got the same thing coming from our red Zerg in the lower left. More or less the Scream Speedling openers, but it doesn't necessarily have to be. The EU ladder is, after all, slightly stronger than the NA ladder, so I wouldn't be surprised to see, say, +1 Carapace missile attacks or anything else coming out of an evolution chamber. That first, whoa, speaking of evolution chamber, that is the world's most annoying drone, and it is doing a good job of delaying gas mining. But the question is, will that evolution chamber finish or not? I think that is gonna be a little bit short of finishing. It was not canceled, so Temujin loses 125 minerals. That's 50 for the drone and 75 for the evolution chamber. I know that sounds like a bit of an overstatement, but at the same time, that's resources that he won't have back. And I mean, the drone was more or less doomed to die once it had decided it was going to stay around until the links finished. But this is going to be a nice pickoff for Temujin. That has more than made up for the loss of that drone, and it supply blocks his opponent. So, there we go. I mean, it kind of puts a, I would say, not necessarily a total stop to any early game aggression, but it does, say, shut down the steam thereof. And now this is looking like a nice engagement for Temujin as well. He's keeping his opponent from getting into his main and seeing what he's doing, but I would say that our red Zerg wouldn't be focused on getting the lings in there, yes, if he had the information that he needed, which is there a gas or not? Yes, he has that information. What he does not have is information of that baneling nest going down in the main. But that's alright, because he's doing the same thing himself, that is to say our red Zerg. I wish I had a name to give this guy, but I guess barcode is going to have to do it. Do pardon my analysis skills, by the way. I'm only gold on the Taiwan and Korea server. At my highest, I was diamond on the Taiwan and Korea server, and that was it. That is a lot of links coming out from Temujin, but also the same thing coming out from our barcode Zerg. Look at them. They're all gathering up the natural. Both players are going to have metabolic boosts at more or less the same time, And those blue lings are just about ready to go. Indeed, they will move out as soon as metabolic boost is done. But we also have the same response coming from our barcode. Defensive banelings are now being morphed back at home, and he is catching those offensive ones out. He will not get these two, but wait. Well, looks like we're not gonna have a solid face check coming from our red Zerg, who's now retreating back home, making his own defensive banelings. Excellent choice, but I feel like these two getting morphed way out in this location doesn't make all that much sense to me. Oh my god! He just nearly lost a huge chunk of lings. And this is where things just get absolutely dicey. There's no other way to say it. A detonation at that location would have been great, but I just missed something absolutely humongous. Let's go back and check a look. Or have a look at it. Alright, so things going back. And those oh my god, Temujin just lost a huge chunk of lings there. I would say, yeah, wow, more than 20 to this point in the game with what just happened. The beans are going to kind of connect with that spine crawler, crooked connect if you will. But no dice on the destruction thereof. Temujin himself is also going to go back to droning while simultaneously throwing down a spine crawler at home in a forward position for defense. More and more Banes coming out from our barcode who is on the offensive. I feel like maybe just throwing some Banes at that might have helped a little bit, at least shove them off, but I mean, all's well that ends well, and he still has a spine crawler and some Banes to defend with. This is not looking too terribly good. That's a ton of red Banes heading into the mineral line for Temujin. He's got to pull his drones out. He loses 2 at that moment, but only 2. And it looks like the spine crawler will take care of the final Baneling. One of those things that kind of perplexed me ever since the Wings of Liberty days is, like, you know, doesn't the spine crawler just, you know, headbutt a Baneling head on? And how does it do that and not take damage? It's a little bit strange. Just, you know, like in SpongeBob SquarePants, how do you have a fire underwater? But now we do have phase 2 of the game commencing as both players are throwing down their Roach Warrens, and we have our barcode already getting started on layer 10. I'm sorry, did he throw down a Roach Warren? He did not. Did he? He did not. I'm sorry, my mistake. Well, he's getting a third as well. This is looking more and more like mutas. It really is. It could be transitional mutas, but I mean, if it was transitional mutas, I would imagine that it would make some sense to throw down a Roach Warren, because that means you can just, at any moment's notice, when you have to have those roaches, you can put them in the production tab. But this is not looking too hot for our barcode. We do have the spine crawler spire getting started now. 10 seconds, 90 more to go, and then the mutas themselves take about 27 seconds each to produce. You know, Temujin's been, with that last little, I guess you'd say, run-by of Lings, he just saw what was coming at him and decided to cancel the third base. He's going to start going into full-blown defense mode. He wants to keep his mineral line alive the most, which is why he's building a pretty big chunk of spine crawlers in this peculiar location. Now, if these finish in time, I could see the defense being more than just viable, especially if the Lings manage to just keep those roaches out of the slamming range of the spines, if you will. They do outrange them, if that makes sense. That is to say, spines over roaches, but there are banelings coming in here, and the defense is going to be very, very hard fought. There are more banelings coming into the game from our red Zerg as well. He's going in for the defense pretty soon here. The question is, what is going to break the natural mineral line here, if anything? That's a whole lot of banelings just detonating on top of each other. The follow-up roaches are now making their way to the mineral line, but there's just too much red Zerg here, and some banelings finish at the last moment to connect with those red Zerglings. The mineral line gets hit, and now, oh my god, it is just getting abrazen and ablazing at the natural mineral line. That's at least 10 drones lost with this attack. Will there be more? It looks like the answer is slowly but surely yes, but there are 7 mutas on the way for the defense from our barcode. The question is, will it be enough, and more than enough, to deal with the roaches that are in his main? They're completely ignoring the drones. I don't know about this decision. He's going to have to actually throw them at the natural to get the economic damage done that he needs. Instead, he's going for the focus, the snipe, on the lair. I don't know about the decision. He redirects the roaches to go for the spire as I say that, and it looks like it won't be destroyed anytime soon. There's nothing but a non-stop flood of Lings heading into the main. I don't want to say this game is all but over. Both players are plummeting in supply right now. But the question is, who is on the back ropes? And I think with our Red Zerg losing 18 drones since the beginning of the game, it's all but over for our Red Reptar, if you will. Our Zerg Zorro in the red. Temujin has now simply got to defend this, more or less, and then he'll be good to go. He's got spores at both bases in construction. He's also got an infestation pit on the way, and now our Red Zerg is going to go back into production of drones. Overlord's got to be saved here. Queens galore. Very expensive anti-air, but they get the job done at many a time. I can't say it enough. Queens with +2 missile attacks actually do a walloping amount of damage versus mutas. Even with the armor upgrades, it feels like mutas are still quite paper thin versus queens with +2 air attacks. Now we do have our barcode back at essentially 2 fully saturated bases, getting there at least. And he's going for his third behind this. I like this move. He does have control of this, guys, as well as the map, I might add. Simply based on the merit that he has Mutalisks out on the map. Now, he is going to finally get his Roach Warren in the game. But, I mean, our Blue Zerg should more or less have the upgrade lead. Both players going now for Glio Reconstitution, Roach Speed, for those of you who may be newer to the game. Third base is now aimed to be taken by our Blue Zerg. It looks like, yes. Gonna mineral walk a drone over there, I imagine. No, he's going to build a spore crawler to front position. Forward position on creep, excuse me. Creep tumor is kind of halting that. And now distance mining happening at the third. This is one thing that can put you ahead if you are in the position of our barcode. Infestors are now out on the map, but I'm not sure if that was a worthwhile investment simply based on the merit that our barcode Zerg has a handful of mutas. These are transitional mutas. These are only 7 mutas, and I don't think he's lost a single one since the game began, which means as the game progresses, I feel like if he pulls the strings right, he might be able to pull it back. Both players are even in supply right now. Brood and Festers headed to what appears to be, I imagine, the natural, if not the main. There's also a couple more, and in this position they would be magnificent for defense, but 5 queens and 2 infestors at this location will be more than enough, I feel. We don't have even +1 missile attacks for either side. Temujin is going for Carapace upgrades first. He just pokes forward with those infestors to see. Well, that's interesting. Okay, he's going for the run by at the third. I like this move a lot. Look, the hatch. I mean, yeah, there's a spine crawler. Where's the defense is the real question. It looks like we're just gonna have our barcode go straight for the dive in on the kill at the natural, and it simply may not be enough. There are 2 infestors here, a lot of queens, and a handful of roaches. That might just be all that he needs, especially if he can put some transfuses down on that spine crawler. The third is gone. The Lings burrow. The infestors are in position now, and they're making it rain Zerg beach balls at the main and now the natural. Third base. Oh my god, so much of siege right now. Everything. Go back and forth. There's no escape for the drones. There's only salvage through roaches. And oddly enough, our barcode Zerg is actually further ahead in supply. He's also got mutas, which would be good for baiting out infestors. Yeah, baiting out infestors' fungal growths. That's what I mean to say. Excuse me. It's been a while since I've casted, so I'm getting rusty, and I'm getting back on sharpening my blade. So, please forgive me. All those broodlings finally taken care of, and now our barcode can get back on his third. Those drones all idle. I feel like they would do a lot more good for him if he maybe oversaturated his main or his natural, but I mean, in both cases, you can see that he's undersaturated on gas. He's got to put those workers back on the geysers. There's no alarms going off just yet. There we go. He fixed it. At least at the natural. The main, just now, as I say it, is fixed. And all this while, since Temujin has had a third base, for the most part, I don't think he's adequately saturated. So he's finally moving all of his workers from the main to his third. And this is one of those things that can be difficult to benchmark as a Zerg player. Do I go for a full 60 workers on minerals, as is the standard? Or do I go for 2.5 fully saturated bases? This is... How do I say this? It's very rare, it's very seldom seen and high level of play that both Zerg players would have the ideal number of workers on 3 bases. Ouch. And those infestors getting caught out, that's a little bit painful. But it's good to see that these mutas have served their purpose, fulfilled their purpose to this stage in the game. Not a single one of them dying, but we've got even more of them coming from Temujin. And now I think this answers why he doesn't have +1 missile attacks. Wait, what? Just as I say that, they finish up. Am I wrong? Am I wrong? Yes, I was wrong. I was wrong indeed. I apologize. Excuse me. And now we've got a bit of a roach run by coming here towards Temujin. As I say that, he maintained possession of this Xel'Naga Watchtower, which means I imagine he should have vision of it, but he does not. And this gold base getting picked off is ideal. The ideal target of a, I guess you could say, a muta switch coming from Temujin. But who's going to keep whose base is the real question. I think this upper left 4th base will be kept by Temujin. But will it be? You know, this is... Both players are neck and neck. The player with the higher army supply is definitely our barcode. Excuse me, definitely Temujin at this stage. But a good chunk of it is mutas. Yes, they can shoot down. They don't add too terribly much damage unless they're in high numbers. 4th base was cancelled. And now it looks like we're going to have a few pickoffs here in favor of our blue Zerg. We're going to have a roach rush forward, if you will, towards the 3rd base. But this is a total surround. There's no escaping for these red roaches. And I feel like this is the tipping point of the game. Look at this. It's totally annihilated, swatted, if you will, by Temujin. But the question is, can our barcode hold on just a little bit longer? That is 24 Mutalisks headed to the 3rd base. And there's no anti-air here whatsoever. I feel like there's almost no saving this. And as I say that, the Corruptors and the Mutas come in. But Corruptors versus Mutas are not the most ideal units. How do you fight this correctly is the real question. This can be one of those ultra confusing moments in the game. That 4th base was not cancelled, so that is 350 resources lost to the cause of our barcode player. He says, hey, if I'm not allowed a 4th base, you aren't either. That's the rules of the game. That's the rules of any mirror matchup. And it looks like, ooh, Temujin focuses down the 4th base and immediately decides to fly out of there. Alright, going for the forward gold base now is Temujin. As I say that, both players' mains should be going just about completely dry. And look at this. Getting infestors out on the map from both sides. This is where the late game really approaches for ZVZ. How do I say this? It's very seldom seen, I feel, that you see any game progress beyond the Roach Wars. But if there's one ZVZ that I remember in my amateur casting career, it would have to be one for the Hong Kong esports. It was Ragnarok versus one of the Kespa pros, I forget. But Ragnarok, he's a Korean as well, but I mean, I'm not sure if he was Kespa or not. Anyway, what was happening was in the late game, both players had Ultras, many Spines at each base. One of them had Broodlords. Both of them had Swarm Hosts and a ton of Infestors. That's where the game just goes absolutely crazy. There we go. Is it going to be another pickoff on that 4th? Oh, man. The Ling's just making a huge run by happen. There's no Banes here at the moment. Nice fungal growths connecting. The main is pretty much forfeit here, but as I say that, oh my god. The Mutas are just waiting for their moment to go in and swoop in. What he's using those Lings for is baiting out the fungal growths, keeping his opponent's Infestor energy low and keeping his Mutas alive in the process. There is one Infestor here. It's only got enough energy for a single fungal growth. One Infestor, one Desire. So it looks like there won't be any big fight here. All of these Mutas will come back to deal with that one Muta that's just basically scouting this 4th base. But the gold is up. And if we can see this location secured, I mean to say this one, by our barcode, he'll be good to go. If he can spread creep and get this base under his wing, again, he'll be fantastic. He'll be in a great to go position. But as I say that, we got the forward gold being taken now. If that goes up, I feel like the favor swings back to our barcode. That's a whole lot of infestors. Let's get a look and see what's going on here. Right now, 6 infestors coming from red. 7 coming from blue. The question is, where does that siege happen? Where does it take place? This is a magnificent spread coming from both sides. No blinking dots on the minimap, and it looks like a run-by is about to happen. A run-by of sorts, indeed. Oh, there's no base here. He knows that there's a gold. Is he going to send it at this base? Maybe this one, who knows? But now the holy sweet mother of fungal growths has just hit, and our barcode is now absolutely withering what is here from Temujin. He was immediately remaxing on Hydras, though. Is that going to work for him again or against him? Big run by going in here, but it's being blocked off by Temujin yet again. He's saying, hey man, no hope, no way. Not a single Ling even gets out of there alive. As we approach 200-200 supply for both players, one thing to bear in mind is that in a mirror matchup, the most critical part at this moment in the game would be banks. Our barcode player has almost no bank to work with. He just exhausted it by getting some ultras in production. Is that the tool of choice is the real question, however. Temujin is floating 3,000 minerals and about 1,700 gas. This gold base is pretty much forfeit. No defenses constructed, no positioning taken to keep it defended, that or anything of that nature, if you will. And those are a lot of full energy infestors. Altogether, about 7. Ultras are not affected by fungal growths, but here we go. The beach balls are going to go down, which will affect them just a little bit. Fungal growths going down on top of everything. The Corruptors trying their best to take down whatever flies, but there's almost nothing left here from Temujin. It's all ranged attackers, Hydras, roaches, and everything else going into the third base and eating it alive. The infested Terrans are now waddling their way like infected penguins to the third base, and I think now this could be the beginning of the end. It could very much so be. There's no bank coming from our red Zerg. Every ultra that comes out is being eaten alive, and the roaches are just doing a magnificent job of keeping everything wrecked. With a capital R-E-K-T, the Hydras, excuse me, the ultras keep coming out. Nice around there, I guess you could say, at the top of the ramp, but it's not enough to stop all of this. Excuse me. This many roaches should be able to take down this number of ultras. Just takes a little bit of micro. The main, while not destroyed, I don't know. It's hard to describe. But the question is, what is our blue Zerg waiting to remax on? Nice transfuses coming out from barcode. And now Temujin's turning back home just a little bit. The mutas, there they are. And it looks like it's gonna be Swarm Hosts coming out from Temujin. I can appreciate this decision. Assuming it isn't really a troll move. That's 10 Swarm Hosts altogether, I might add. I think in some ways they might be ideal versus Ultras. In some ways they might not be. Fighting them head on, yes. Defending bases, yes. Going on the offensive, maybe not so much. It's highly situational, but now the roaches are going into the main. They want the blood off of this guy. He smells blood in the water, and they're going for the kill. Spire is going to be focused down, wondering what the next target will be. It looks like it'll be the spawning pool, and that'll keep him from building spines if he can take it down. And indeed, he will. Excuse me, pardon me. And all those drones gone. How many has he? Oh my god. Sweet mother of drone kills, Batman. This is... Is that the entire economy? No, he's got 8 drones remaining. Most of them are in the main. And now it looks like the 4th base is going to be taken. Seeing the Storm hosts, we just see Barcode leave the game, and Temujin is victorious. Alright guys, my name is BreakerSC2. I will see you guys next time. Maybe check me out on social media. Give me some feedback on casting. I'll try my best to get better. I've got high goals for 2015. That's going to be it from me. I'll see you guys next time.